Let me take you to the Ethiopia's geographical demography, to understand how different people respond to the political situations in Ethiopia. Since Abiy Ahmed has been appointed as a caretaker of Ethiopia in April 2018, I said as a caretaker of Ethiopia. He's not the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, he's a caretaker. The leader of Ethiopia is not Abiy Ahmed. With the conspiracy group that has been make a deal back in August 2017. Ethiopia was under the oppression of colonialism, and Abiy Ahmed came to take care of Ethiopia and also to capture all the resources in territory with his military. So he's been appointed from day one as a caretaker. He's not the leader. The background leaders, the decision makers, the one who's leading the war in Tigray right now, the one who makes the people into prison in the legal system and everything, he's not. So how people because those people, those players, those conspiracy groups directly interfere in our country's political situation and they kill the local politics. But now my point is, the focus that I want to say on this video is to see how Ethiopians are responding to the political situation. The key participants and players in the Ethiopian politics for decades are the Tigrayans, Oromo, and Amhara. Then the southern people are far Somalia relatively. Tigray and Amhara are in the north part of Ethiopia. With the exception of their mother tongue language, they share a lot in common. They are Semitic in culture, Orthodox Christians in their religion, and have similar ways of lifestyle, as they have a similar culture, tradition, and customs. The Oromo, on the other hand, are Cushitic, and the majorities are Protestants, with a significant size of Muslim also. The reason why the majority, the Oromo people are Protestant are because the northern part, in Eritrea and Amhara and the Tigray, they are the Semitic and they are the Orthodox Church believers, which they are very strongly rigid for Protestants to go and preach the gospel. So because of that, the Protestants, they went to Oromo in the south, in the rural areas, building schools, building clinics, and building churches. Because of that, the Oromo people get that opportunity and the benefit and the privilege to get the academical intellect, at the same time the spiritual knowledge through the church, through the Protestant church. But that's how a lot of Catholic and the Protestant goes to those areas than in the north, because of the Orthodox Church not accepting the Protestants to go, because we have our own Orthodox, they preserve their own religion. The south is a mix. They have different language because it's a very highly populated, the one that has the young and the youth, and different languages. Ethiopia has 81, 82 different languages, so this is also the area that different languages were concentrated, different tribes and clans and villages and communities and cities. So back to back, nearby different languages, people, demography. So like I said, the south is a mix. So they are Muslims, Orthodox, and Protestant in their religion. I think, I'm not sure, but I assume the majority is a Protestant with the influence of the prosperity gospel teaching, the false teaching. this plays into the southern part. They were not privileged to get the academical or the school like in the northern or in the west, in the Oromo region. So there was a lack of the academical knowledge or to go to school. There was not as privileged as those who has the ancient civilized in the north or the influence of the missionaries in the Oromia region. So there is that gap, the lack of knowledge, and there is also the spiritual knowledge is not as such impact compares to in the Oromia region. In the Oromia region, the evangelists, the gospel, they preach what was in the word without distorting the word. These people are they sacrifice. They go to places where there is no electric city or any infrastructure. That's how they build the community. They contribute planting churches or schools or clinics. Being the youth in the young, highly populated area, very energetic, very passionate, and amass a big number of population. That lack of knowledge always has to make the people to depend on others people's knowledge more than the first-hand information for them to get. For the majority, I'm not saying there are people, intellectual people from the south also. There are also true believers in the south from through the Protestant church. They are also there, but I'm just comparing with the proportionality of the numbers in the majority. So this teaching of the gospel, the prosperity gospel, the false teaching, just give people for that day emotionally like a drug to make them high and to keep them going, and they have to come back and refill again. So they tell them that you're not going to be poor, you're not going to be sick, God doesn't order or plan for you. So whenever things force teaching to nations, to large number of people, it's later on will have its own consequence impact, because what is the reality with their life in real world and what the teaching, it just doesn't reconcile. So the prosperity teaching gospel has damaged the nation, the country, whoever is a member, whoever been unfortunately taught by those people have impacted in a negative way. It's not being equipped, it's not being empowered, it's even the other way around, victimized. Not knowing the true knowledge of God, they spend their time, they resource their money, they give, they rip them off through the offering. When they go in, that's what they are after too, those people who are teaching the gospel, the prosperity gospel. The false teaching is after the money, they're making it a business. So that larger number, demography, has that influence, I would say. Afar in Ethiopia, Ethiopian Somali speaks different languages, and both their peoples are almost all Muslims. But because of, again, the primitiveness and the nomadic lifestyle and the infrastructure, this area is also a neglect or not a privilege to get education in relative compared to in the northern or in the city or in the west. Semitic people use their heart, not their brains. When we see in the Middle East or in the Persian Gulf or most of the Arab people in the Gulf or the Middle East, they're Semitic in their religion. Semitic religion is all in their life is, the religion is not separated, it's an everyday practice of their life. And when we see those people, they are emotional, they can be stirred up easily and get irrational, and you can't reason with them. They don't panic, they have no fear. When they have the demonstration, when they have the mass, if they, also especially if they think what they are doing is in the mission of in relation to their faith, because they consider it, even dying is a holy one. So you cannot reason with them. They are Semitic in their religion. So that they have that tendency or impact that we can see. When we come to Semitic in Ethiopia, Semitic, the Eritrea people, Amhara and Tigray in general, the same cultural impact except the language difference and their tradition, the costume, their hair, the braid, the tattoo, and their practice in the worship of God through the Orthodox Church. They have something in common, the Semitic. Though they are religions in Christian, they are Semitic in culture. It's a little bit less intense compared to the Semitic religions in the Middle East or in the Arab countries, but still that emotionality has visible from the demography of the 3P, Tigray and the Eritrea and Amhara people. This emotionality is expressed in our celebrations of any kind, wedding, if you see wedding in Eritrea, Tigray or Amhara, in our griefs and aggression. Anger is acceptable in Semitic culture. When we go to the Western, if you are angry, in our country by itself, when so many people come and use matatu or minibus, or they talk from one end to another end. That is a little bit bizarre to us. That is kind of for us. It's like we don't get used to it. The Westerns feel the same way. When we are angry, we express it. So anger is acceptable in Semitic culture. Having said that, let's dig deeper for more clarification and understanding why things are turning the way it unfolds in Ethiopia for the last 3 years. The Amhara people, being Semitic and Orthodox Christians, across the board in Ethiopia, we have to understand, across the board throughout the country, there's a lack of knowledge. Even though we say there are intellectuals in Oromo, there are intellectuals in Amhara or Tigray or Southern, still the majority of people, there's a lack of knowledge. Ignorance has played a huge role for the defeat in Ethiopia. I call it defeat because since the day the Ethiopian great Renaissance engineer has been assassinated, to this day, death is becoming common. Human life's value has been lost. The morality of people has declined. People are becoming deceptive, liars, murderers, criminals. This was not our culture. Because people, that morality has been built up through the word of God, whichever denomination church they go, whether it's Protestant or whether they go to Orthodox Church or whether they go to mosque. All those institutions, spiritual institutions, they teach the moral code, they teach the normal, healthy teaching. So killing is wrong, so people, they don't practice it. Stealing is wrong, they don't practice it. Crime is very rare in Ethiopia compared to other African countries. It was relatively a very peaceful Even the Westerns used to walk at night. So why the crime in Ethiopia? Why the value of people's life is just, they're falling like a leaf tree. When the wind blows and a lot of, at the same time, the leaves fall and would be decaying, rotten. That's the fate of that leaf. That's what's happening in our country. The life of our citizens are in danger. There's no justice because the structure, the legal structure is already controlled by others. That's why a lot of imprisonment, that's why a lot of deaths, and nobody knows who killed, and they were just covering it up. The one thing that we didn't stop at the rally or at the mob demonstration protest to take over the Midrock Legendembi gold mining. People died, 12 people died in that mission or operation to which Abiy Ahmed in the Oromara has been operating. The displacement in Gedio, the displacement in Abai area, in the gorge, in the Benshangul, Asosa, it didn't start recently. It has been there since May 2017. At the same time, where they're taking over the gold mining, Midrock has been investing, of which Sheikh Mohammed Alamut is the owner. The same thing, taking over the resources in those areas has been operated. So why all those things happening? With the change of the Ethiopian caretaker Abiy Ahmed, what our people is experiencing in our country, going through, is a tough time, challenging, a grief, a pain, uncertainty, lack of safety, and predictability that knocks every household. Is all the chaos, all the lies, deceptions, biased information, narratives, pronouncedly insulting, provocative words to peoples and demographies, to label people like different, very toxic words, like cancer, to consider peoples as cancer and to communicate this to the general public. Why all these things happening? The defeat is because people accepting that, in response to that, react and act, and believing that's as true information, not realizing that's in the process of defeating themselves by dividing and conquer. With the mission, they are operating a colonialism of Ethiopia. The war, it started with anti-Orthodox and anti-Tigray. Anti-Orthodox means anti-Amhara, anti-Tigray, and also anti-Eritrea. Those are the Semitic. In general, if I add it, it's anti-Semitic. They are the Orthodox Church believers. Even though now we have the border with Eritrea, I included this because it's a matter of time the war in Tigray is going to shift, because everything, what's happening since September 1st, 2017 to this date is an operation, a phase-by-phase operation to colonize and take over Ethiopia, the East Africa. Ethiopia being the first gateway. Abiy Ahmed is used because of the military, the power, the money, the media, installed him to accomplish that mission, to take over Ethiopia. Now they will tell him to attack, either they will eliminate him or attack Eritrea, or the Sudan and the Eritrean will attack Eritrea. Once they finished using Isaias, whoever is using him will exploit him again. They are victims, because their mission is to take over Eastern Africa for resource exploitation. So when they start anti-Tigray, anti-Orthodox is anti-Tigray is because the TPLF power existed already. Unless they eliminate, they cannot colonize a country. The anti-Orthodox is for religious aspect, to eliminate the Christianity and to replace with that of Muslim. This is not the Ethiopian Muslim people operating. This is external players who are making this vision and drama operation. So the Amhara people being Semitic, like I said, keep in mind, remember, we have a lack of knowledge across the board in our country, our citizens. There is that gap, lack of knowledge, and ignorance has spread. So if we see the key demographies into this play, the more key players, like I said, in Ethiopia, most of the political players for the last decade is Amhara, the Tigray, and the Oromo people, and also recently for the last 30 or 20 something years or so, the southern part is also active, even though there are few numbers. And Afar and Somali region also relatively after those. So when we see the Semitic, the Amhara people, the intellectuals, most of them who are overseas, those who are educated, has a good moral, those people who have integrity, they don't involve at all in this. They're just watchers, spectators. They might follow what's going on, but they don't participate. They don't participate neither to change the situation nor to aggravate the situation. So they are neutral. They don't involve. So when we say the Semitic Amhara, why I'm dividing, why I'm just explaining that is because it has the reason. So those are the demography of the people, Amhara people, educated. They don't impact in a negative way for what's going on. And back home, most of the majority, the Amhara people, of course there are Muslim people in the Wollo area and other, the majority are Orthodox Christian believers. So because of that religious practice through the church, even though the church has been for a long time teaching in Ge'ez language, in the ancient, the church language they use, that people lacks the spiritual knowledge, the word of God. People don't read the Bible. They used to think the Bible is only for Protestant. I have seen people who have been despising it because they see it with a different perspective, as if it's a harm to the church, to the Orthodox Church. That's the understanding they have. That's their truth they have. But recently, the Orthodox Church have started teaching the people, the Mass, the Sunday school in Amharic. And they have influenced, and they are doing a great job in equipping people with the spiritual knowledge, which they didn't have before. So there are young priestess, young evangelists within the Orthodox Church who teach and reach out. And so the local people, most of the young, and also our parents' age or grandparents, they go to church, they pray, and they listen, and they have that moral conduct, they have that value, they hold on to, the fear of God, they practice. They know there is a higher power, God. They are abide and obey. So those people is also has a good intention for their country, for their citizen. So they are Amhara and they are Semitic people. So the two Amhara people, the intellectual, most of them, they are abroad. And the majority of the Amhara people who are local, They are most of them the churchgoers. Both have something in common. If they can, they do positive impact. If not, they abstain. They are in the middle. Neither they are educated, nor they have spiritual knowledge. Both are education, spiritual knowledge or academic knowledge. They might live overseas for decades. Those people, they don't grow up. They don't evolve. They don't integrate. Recently, 2-3 weeks ago, there was a protest in Washington. The Amhara people says our flag was there. Most of the time now, if there is our flag, national flag, it's Amhara people supporting Abiy Ahmed. But one thing I noticed is it was raining. And someone was covering himself from the rain to protect, wearing the American flag. For any patriot American, that I would say is offensive. Because American flag, they don't leave it in the rain. It's not to attack or other people to say. This is a lack of integration. Even though they live in the country, they don't even know other people's value, what they care, what they value. So those people, they don't evolve. If they come 20 years from Ethiopia, that's the mentality they have. While people back home, they are advancing. Even people who doesn't have lack of knowledge, they are way advanced from there through their life experience. So those people are the one Abiy Ahmed used, because those people, they use Amhara people, they use through different political changes, through the revolution during the Kennedy and even other times. They are the one who are in the upfront. They are talkatives. They use and exploit the young. Always the young is being used as a cannon fodder. University students have died. During the Kennedy, a lot of young people died. But it was in vain. There was no result. So they are good in mobilizing the young to use them, exploit them. They don't care about the young. They only care about themselves. So the mission, the colonialism mission, is operated, and the vision came from the Middle East with the help of the power the United States have through the administration, the current administration, to cover up their human rights abuse. Whatever happened in Ethiopia not to be revealed. So they created as if it's a local problem. So they divided. So those people especially concentrated in the east coast of the United States as the one key players in helping Abiy Ahmed in the Middle East for Ethiopia to be colonized. Whom they first target? The Amhara people. As if they care for the Amhara people. They know the Amhara people. The Middle East knows you very well. The strengths and the weakness. What they use in Amhara, what they use in the Tigrayan people, what they use in Oromo is not the same. Because they have the different strengths level. The Amhara people are very easily enticed like the Middle East Semitic. They give them the national flag, they are there. They are one. They are trapped. They give them a bait to attract, like to capture the fish. Hook. That's how Amhara people being used through those people concentrated in the middle and in the east coast of the United States. Either they use them as a GoFundMe to collect money. The money doesn't go to the people. So they exploit them in all aspects. There are only few people compared to relatively the Amhara great nation and the people, they are few. If there is one bad apple, they say, so even one person have a potential. Even a 2-year-old toddler has a potential for destruction. So this is how the players are assigned. So the Amhara people, those people are the one who stir up a problem to divide between the Amhara people and the Tigray people. The Amhara people believing that like they're also a bait to be attracted with a flag or with a damn news or whatever speaks to their heart, whatever that motivates their emotions. Throughout the 3 years' time, I don't see any worthwhile thing they did, this group of people, except letting our people to be killed, including the Amhara people. Engineer Semenyo is from Amhara. Brigadier General Asamara is from Amhara. Those higher officials are from Amhara. Once those people have been targeted and eliminated, the Amhara people have been exposed, being vulnerable. Nobody to take care of them, to protect them, because their leaders are already into this mission from September 1st, 2017, way before Prime Minister Ethiopia'sgeographical has been resigned, removed, because they are conspirators with the Middle East. The key players on the conspiracies, Abiy Ahmed, Demek, and Temesgen, and those people in that group. They exploit the Oromara group, that the young Shimalis, because of his energy, passion, they exploit him. They use him. Even though he's also into that destruction in a lot of ways, but he has a face. They exploit Lama, they exploit Jawa. So everyone, piece by one, every single person is there to be exploited in order for the Arab countries, for the two Middle Arab countries, Middle East countries, Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi, to accomplish their mission. The way they use it is putting the money in their pocket. The dirty money is controlling people's mind, selling their soul at the expense of our people's life. The war in Tigray is because people in Tigray say, no, we're not going to surrender. It has nothing to